We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on Cedric Wilson, Miami Dolphins wide receiver. Now, last year, he was kind of the odd man out, didn't get a lot of playing time, and I feel like this year, I think he's going to make more of an impact overall. Not going to say it's like some great impact, but I definitely expect him to be a bigger part of the offense. Last year was sort of Sherfield and Gesicki as those, third and fourth options. And a lot of other guys just rotated in and didn't get much work overall. I expect to see more of a rotation after Waddle and Hill this time with guys like Cedric Wilson, Braxton Berrios, Eric Ezukanma, River Craycraft, all of them getting playing time, all of them, getting in some work. I would like to see Cedric actually be used a lot like this play specifically, down in the slot, attacking down the seams. I feel like, when he's on in Dallas, this is where he made his biggest impact, being like a seam threat, down the, middle of the field, bend those routes off, understand how to work coverage. And I feel like he looked pretty good this preseason, much better than he looked last year overall. He just looked more comfortable, a little more explosive. I don't know if he, maybe had an injury last year. I just feel like he didn't look like the same player. Maybe it was just uncomfortability within the offense. Going into his second year, I expect to see a different player, a little bit better, a little more impactful. This is a good route, looking at this is a too high coverage. Jaguars in cover 2, so he knows, he's running a seam here and just reading the coverage. If it was middle of the field, like safety in the middle, he would just go straight down the seam, split the safety in the corner. But since it's too deep, he's going to bend this seam towards the middle, open this up, and it gets behind the defense, catch it in stride, show off some nice speed, little, moves after the catch. I just feel like, throughout this preseason, he's looked like a better player. And I'm excited to see if he, can grow into this offense and be a little more of an impact player. Because I feel like he's not going to be wide receiver 3 right away. He took that pay cut, which is nice. And he's only going to be he's now down to a 1-year contract, which I think is a good thing. They can then really get Ezukanma involved. I expect Berrios to be like that wide receiver 3 early on. And Cedric being probably wide receiver 4, getting a lot of rotation in, and then expect to see Eazy-E probably get more and more of a role as the year goes on. And then with guys like Craycraft constantly rotating in, and then maybe Chosen off the practice squad getting some games as well. But I do expect to see more Cedric Wilson this year and him have a little more of an impact. A lot of Wilson's best plays just came down in the slot, especially working on some option routes, setting things up, slants, winning over the middle. I feel like his footwork looked better. He looked a little more quick. Was known for being a little more elongated off the snap, but here sets this up pretty nicely. This release, slow play, slide release to the outside here. See how he's giving a little bit of a foot fire, but sliding the outside, moving this DB's leverage, even though he stays square and pretty good rep initially by the DB, gets him to move off his spot just enough to where he can win to the inside. It's a 3rd and 3 situation, and then make a nice catch in traffic in a contested area. I thought, those were nice places to see Wilson succeed, being someone that can win as a slot receiver, because you can have Waddle and Hill pretty much play anywhere, but when you go into 3 wide receiver sets, having someone like Berrios, who's pretty much a pure slot, and then having someone like Cedric and Eazy-E, who can both play slot and outside, so they offer some versatility there, because Waddle and Hill can play pretty much anywhere. So depending on what you want in your matchups that week, it's nice to have a guy like Cedric that can be outside and inside and still be pretty equally good at both. This time a 4th and 2 situation, another similar work. Cedric, all his best work coming out of the slot. I want to see more slot work for him. I know they go into a lot of 2 receiver concepts down the field. There's 2 receiver running 12 or 21 personnel with only 2 receivers on the field. Dolphins like to do that a decent amount. But this is a nice route, 4th and 2 situation. Really sets us up. It looks like he's just running his routes with more purpose. He just looks more comfortable there. And with him and Berrios, both being slot, even Eazy-E is more of a slot, big slot type. It just gives you 3 different types of receivers, body types that can all play in the slot and be effective. Honestly, Craycraft can play the slot. But I feel like he's more of an outside guy too. But Hill, Waddle, imagining them threading the outside with Cedric and Berrios working the inside gives you 2 different body types and players. But this is an excellent route. So look how he sets this up. Gives a little bit of a hard inside leverage hesitation there off the initial work off the line of scrimmage. You see him attack inside, wants to get this guy to move off his spot, and then he raises that pad level, really hard foot fire, and then jab to the inside, which completely moves, forces this guy's eyes and body out to the inside, and then creates natural separation to the outside on the option route. This is the most separation he created, and you can just see the explosiveness out of this cut there. And just looked, honestly, more comfortable all around. He's pretty solid at the catch point. I think he had one kind of drop in this game on a deep vertical route. It was a very good throw. It would have been a very nice catch if he hanged on to it, but it was a very difficult catch to make, off his fingertips while diving. But he also can be a vertical threat. I want to see him attacking down the seams. I think that's something, Dolphins did last season a little bit with Sherfield and Gesicki. So Cedric never really got his chance to work there, but it's definitely something he's comfortable doing. And I feel like out of the slot guys, I feel like Ezu Kanma is more of like a slot, get him either screen or slot fade type of player. Barrios more of an intermediate, also on screen, be more of an option route. Cedric can run those things too, but getting him attacking down the seams, bending towards the middle of the field, reading coverages, and he can create some big plays in those areas. This is the Ahmed touchdown. He doesn't get targeted here, but it's nice to see him, get matched up on the inside like this. They're going bunch, and this guy has all the leverage right here, this defender, and he sets this up real nicely. Like, he's basically just taking him to the inside. He has the inside release receiver. It ends up being Cedric Wilson, and Wilson sets this up real nicely. Look how he sort of looks like he's going to bend this around to the outside, gets him to move, and then quick footwork, double little quick step there, which gets him to really commit and move off a spot, and then wins to the inside. So if this wasn't open and Skylar was looking here, it would have been a pretty nice pitch and catch, get into the end zone, solid route. I was more impressed by Cedric's route running overall in this preseason compared to last year at all, because I feel like last year he didn't really get an opportunity to really showcase any route running skills because of the limited snaps and just how he was used overall. I do feel like Cedric has gotten a little bit of a bad reputation just from his first year with the Dolphins. Didn't live up to the expectation of his contract. But I do like, he did take that sort of, new contract, took off a year of it, took a decrease in his salary overall. And I feel like he's still better than people give him credit for. Sometimes you just go to a situation that doesn't end up, favoring you. And I feel like year 2 is going to be a little more favorable for him in this offense than year 1 was. And I still think he's a solid player overall. I don't think he's some great elite player. I just think he has enough ability. We saw with the Cowboys, he was pretty productive one year as their wide receiver too. He can still be a productive NFL player. He has enough traits there to work with. Here, 4th and 4, setting up this slant. You can see he's got some tricks in his bag. Really sells those foot fire. And for being he was more of a vertical guy coming out of Boise State. Really just winning on the outside vertically. He's really developed his skills as a route runner. Just coming under control here. Really balanced, and then that hard foot fire, you can see he might think he might break here, then he gives a little extra double step, hard jab to the outside, gets this guy to move just enough, creates separation to the inside, catches it in stride, and then gets upfield, spin, showing a little finesse, little juice, little nice little burst to his game right there. Little things that I didn't see out of him last year, so it's gonna be fun to watch him grow as a player, because I still think overall he's a pretty decent wide receiver. Last play to break down for Cedric Wilson here in this Falcons game, where he got a little bit of work going on. This was on the first drive, and they didn't play too long after, but just in cover 2 man, working on a dig route. Nothing too insane. This DB looked a little lost as well, but you can see just off the line, quick release, sets this up, nice little split, speed release to the inside, gets his leverage. Also does a good job of rubbing here to help this open up if they wanted to throw that. And then he sort of leans back into the DB, and then, nice efficient break. He does a good job of, understands angles. He's a pretty smart receiver, with his angles based on coverage. This is cover 2 man. Look how he adjusts his angle just away from the defenders here. A lot of guys would just work straight horizontally down here, but he floats away to get away from the DB and the corner to then catch it and then, get upfield, get a couple extra yards. He's not amazing after the catch. He's got a little bit of his bag there to, work after the catch, but it's nothing too crazy. I just feel all around, he doesn't really have anything to his game where I'm oh, that's an elite trait, but he doesn't have any real major weaknesses either. I just feel overall, pretty solid player, and he could definitely be more useful to the team than he was last year, especially when you don't have guys like Sherfield and Gesicki on the roster anymore, and Barrios is your wide receiver 3. But him and Barrios are very different players, so it's going to be exciting to watch them play, even though they both can really excel in the slot. But I also could see Cedric being, a guy that definitely plays on the outside as well. It's something he's done throughout his career. But I feel getting him down in the slot is something that could really make him explode and have a much better season for the Dolphins. So if you guys really make sure that comment.